Welcome to the Killjoy After Party.
Think the fun is over once you quit drinking?
Think again.
We have a booze-free beverage shop in Nashville, and we hear stories from our customers all the time about how much better life is after booze.
And we're excited to share these stories with you.
And since this is Nashville, you bet your ass
we're making it musical.
Yeah, it tastes like sunshine, like a real good time, lifting my mood and it brightens my day. Gonna rise and go, no alcohol, get my sparkle low. Gonna rise and go, no alcohol.
Michelle, I'm so happy that you were able to join us today. You and your husband together have recently started To Be Honest beverage company, but I would love to talk a little bit about your journey to becoming alcohol-free, how long it's been and what that looked like.
Journey is a good way to describe it. I think it is for any of us, right? We're on a path, we're living life, it's a process. I have taken different moments. I've been in the health and wellness space for a very long time, and so there have been pauses in alcohol consumption, whether I was training for a certification or I was trying to model a certain type of behavior for clients and students in the work that I was doing. It was only about 3-ish years ago where I decided that alcohol wasn't a good choice for me any longer. And I talked to a lot of people in the sober, curious, sober, and non-alc space, and I think there's the common narrative in the external world where people don't know as much about what we do and how we operate, that it is still a little bit of that outdated mentality and model of like you hit a rock bottom, you were addicted to alcohol, you had an alcohol use disorder, some sort of alcohol consumption that caused a problem in your life. But it wasn't that case for me. It was more so the way that alcohol was affecting my daily life, just in terms of lack of motivation, lethargy, and I was really dealing with a lot of anxiety and mental health struggles at the time that I was kind of trying to target and figure out. Being in the health and wellness space, I was really into meditation, did yoga, worked out, ate pretty healthy, like plant-based, whole foods. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but my husband and partner, Jeremy, has been in alcohol production for over a decade. And so we were just inundated with alcohol all the time, festivals, wine tastings, events. I was a beer buyer at one point. So our exposure to alcohol was constant. We were getting it as gifts. I was getting it for free in all these different places. And it was a fun, exciting part of our life. But I just realized and kind of started to find that how I felt wasn't suiting the lifestyle that I really wanted for myself. And so I had to make an adjustment, and I just decided to stop drinking, and everything has kind of changed since then. It wasn't with the intention of stopping for forever, but it just has been day after day, month, week, and now it's been like 3 years, and I just feel the best I've ever felt without it.
You made that choice while your husband's working in the alcohol industry. What about him? How does that work?
So he's been incredibly supportive. I talk to a lot of people about their relationship dynamic when someone chooses to either start alternative drinking, flex drinking, hybrid drinking, being in that sober curious space, or they've gone completely sober or alcohol free altogether. And it can be challenging. One of the things that really happens in a relationship dynamic is there can definitely be accountability, but you ultimately can't change, impact, force anyone to do, be, or adopt anything. You have to have that inspiration from within yourself. You have to make that choice for yourself. But one of the best things that you can do in any partnership, friendship, family dynamic is to model behavior. And so for myself, I just saw it as this was my choice. This is what I'm going to do. He's continued to drink less. He still decides when he drinks, but he's also transitioned to a lot of zero proof options and has found that for him, he enjoys the drinking experience, not necessarily the buzz or the related intoxication that comes to alcohol. And I'll just end with, I think it's a lot of personal development work about ourselves, discovering what brings us joy in our lives. And when you start to figure out all the other things in your life that bring you joy that aren't related to alcohol, you start to embrace, open up, and welcome in. And that was one of my biggest things when I was coaching, is it's not about what you're giving up or what you're avoiding. It's always what is the opportunity here? What can we invite in? And let's focus on the positive aspects of this experience rather than the negative. And I can't have, and it's restrictive and I'm avoiding. So that's a big mindset and kind of approach to the process and how he's kind of helped me along the way.
I had a similar situation when I read The Artist's Way. And one of the things that really hit home for me was, I think she was like, just list 20 things that you like doing or whatever. And I wrote them all down. And she was like, all right, now how much of these cost money? I was like, one. And then like how none of them involved drinking. So it was just like a taking stock of kind of things that brought me joy was one of the ways that helped me quit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I really I do some morning pages. So I just do like a free flow creative writing, just in terms of my thoughts, my musings, my philosophies in the morning, just about 500 words. And it's such a great practice to reflect, to celebrate, to kind of see. And one of the things that I've been thinking about recently is like gratitude and appreciation and joy and what sparks joy in your life and what can you be grateful for, even in the smallest of moments and the smallest of things. And when you amplify that in your life, it really starts to change your attitude, your mood, the way that you approach things, like the way that you think about your choices, which kind of bleeds into time. Like time is our life. If you look at your productivity, your success, your relationships, what you're building, your business, the way you make money, all of these things, it's an investment of time, seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, that builds your life. And so when you can start thinking about how you invest your time differently and how you can be intentional about that investment and how you get to decide and dictate what that is, it really, really starts to shift something, I feel like, internally within you. And it allows you to then choose a narrative, to choose a story, to choose every single day what it is that you're doing and how that impacts you. And it's almost like this cyclical thing, right? Like you can choose alcohol, you can choose avoidance, you can choose numbing. And I'm not saying everyone does it for that reason, but it was a lot of that for me. You can choose social media, you can choose scrolling, you can choose TV, you can choose distractions. You can also choose presence and awareness and opportunity and growth and productivity and moment to moment joy and gratitude. And they'll start to cyclically feed more of the same thing. And that kind of bleeds into what your life becomes. And I think every single day we have that opportunity to decide. And so when you can reflect on time, when you can reflect on your choice of joy, gratitude, and what you're amplifying, it makes such a difference in the way that you show up and what your life becomes.
Sounds like the difference between like living a life that's just reactive versus really being intentional and really being proactive about what you want and what behaviors align with that. I was curious from your comment before, when you looked at that list, how much time did you spend like doing those things? Is that the next step?
Yeah, not enough. But having that awareness allowed me to start prioritizing those things.
Yeah. I want to know from both of you, what's something on your list that, brings you joy that you're intentionally making more time to do?
So I'm actually creating something right now that I want to do as a practice. So I turned 35 in July, and I want to start a practice of 365 days of joy. So every single day, highlighting something that brings me joy. So I think one of the things on that list that I'm actively doing more of is new and adventurous things that challenge me. So recently I started taking archery lessons, like with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've just always been interested in doing something like that. I've thought about it for probably like 2 years. I've actually gone into the place previously and I've just never done it. And so recently realizing that like, oh, I can just do this thing. Like I'm an adult. I get to choose where I spend my money. I get to choose where I spend my time. I'm going to give it a go. And so doing things like that, I took a pole fitness class recently too. That was like, yes, like I need these things in my life that are just new and dynamic and interesting. And as someone who really embodies, embraces change and seeks out change, being able to kind of bring in these things that are really just new and challenging have been incredibly helpful to me. That being said, like toes in the sand, going to the beach is like a free, really wonderful thing. We're on the Central Coast that I have access to that truly brings me joy.
I'm so jealous. I feel the same way about that, but I'm so far from the beach. Put on my meditation app and pretend. What about you? What's one of the things on your list?
Creating just music, and I always did that, but I got burnt out on it. And then being outside, just something I just like to be outside in the elements. It just helps me in numerous ways.
I think something we talk a lot with people on the show about is a lot of people think before they quit drinking that life afterwards is going to be boring. It's going to be like a punishment. You're always like missing it, maybe. And I think the truth that I hear from people all the time is that life is so much better on the other side, and something I struggled with was like, how do I be rebellious or express my adventurous side without alcohol? But I think a lot of the stuff that you've talked about addresses that. There was one time not long after I quit drinking when a friend asked me if I could meet her to run 10 miles, which I was not really prepared for, at 6 a.m. at this like place that was really far away. So I got up at 4:30 and drove, and it was a full moon. And I was like, this is crazy. What am I doing? This feels like that late night, like bad girl kind of adventure, but I'm actually going to run. But that kind of sparked that feeling for me because I was like, I'm having a little adventure here. I'm doing something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. Is it similar for you?
So you feel like maybe you're going to miss out on things. Maybe you're not going to experience quite the same. It does look different, and that's okay. Again, it's about looking for those different opportunities that are going to bring joy into your life, that you're going to share with other people, that are going to build relationships and connections that are meaningful and powerful and move you forward and progress you and propel you into this life that you didn't even know was possible, like truly. And so I work out 5 or 6 days a week at a functional fitness facility. I used to teach functional fitness, bar, yoga, and training. So a lot of times like exercise workouts, yes, I did it, but it was more for other people and in service to others. And so with this, over the past couple years, it's really just been about me and my movement and my body. And that's been part of this like embracing who I am in this journey of self-development. But now like they play bangers at our studio, and it's loud and it's fun, and I've developed friendships there and like really solid relationships. And so I dance in pretty much every single class that we go to, and I'm kind of known there, in the streets for being a little like outrageous and wild and loud. But you know what that does? It then inspires someone else to move their body or to laugh or to smile or to be joyous in some way. And so even though I may look like a little goofy and totally ridiculous, it doesn't matter because I'm embodying like my true self and showing up in the way that's going to bring that energy, and it permeates and it shares and it impacts other people in such a positive way. And I couldn't imagine it being different now. And so like I say that my club is the gym because that's where I embody that lifestyle and that enjoyment. And it's not, at 2 a.m. when I'm exhausted and drunk or exposed to whatever is happening in that environment. And it looks different, but it is so much more of what I want my life to be and envision for myself. So it's a powerful shift. And I think everyone makes it on their own time, but life, quote unquote, after alcohol. And I never say that I'm never not going to drink ever, because I don't like to limit myself in that way. But I think life in this space, it's hard to explain just how powerful and magnetic and energetic you feel. Someone has to experience it for themselves in order to really see what it's like,
I think you're going to inspire people just with that. I've never heard anyone just light up when they talk about going to the gym before. But that's a perfect example of it's the lens that you have on it and how you view things, and finding something that is really a fit for your personality and what you like to do.
And it sounds like they're dancing at the gym. That sounds fun.
They're dancing.
Apparently they don't dance when I'm not there, but which is wild to me because I'm like, I can't not dance when I'm here. Yeah. I love it so much. But that's my thing. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, right? You've got to find what really is you and that can brings out your energy and your sense of self. I won't get into it, but like there's so much self-limiting beliefs and doubts that we hold about our existence in the world and how we show up. And if there's one thing that I could do is allow people to shed that and give themselves permissions to shed that. Because once you do, like the life beyond your own limitations, doubts, and again, beliefs that you hold currently is everything that you want. Like it is literally everything that you desire and everything that you're looking for.
Yep. And those beliefs and those limitations are not reality. And that was like the biggest thing that hit me.
Listen, I think about this too much, but Donald Trump has no limiting beliefs.
Right? Think about
None.
that shit too, man.
And he, in my opinion, he sucks, but I'm the greatest person ever, and then is able to do whatever he wants.
Right?
That's the power of ditching those limiting beliefs and just having delusional other beliefs. But to be a business owner, you have to have some kind of delusional beliefs.
I'm more delusional now than I ever have been, and I am more completely sober. I'm super delusional. Yeah. My visions. If you could only hear, my husband is laughing right now, just in spirit, because what I tell him and what I'm planning and what I want for our future is absolutely bonkers. But you know what? That is life, and that is your reality, and you're creating your reality on a day-to-day basis. And if you don't take control and be in charge of that, someone else will write your script and your narrative.
Yes.
So the thing you mentioned about reactive, I fully believe in proactive and reactive choices. And so much of us are living in that reactive state. Our circumstances, our environments, the people around us, they affect our emotions, they affect our choices, they affect our thoughts and our ways of being. When you can shut that down and you can create that boundary and realize that you can be completely proactive in the way that you approach all of those things, literally, again, like everything changes because you get to decide and you get to create and you get to mold and you get to build. And then you are the one who's the conspirator of your life, as opposed to just saying, oh, this is what someone else wants of me. Oh, this is the pressure that I'm hearing. Oh, that person cut me off. Now I'm going to be mad for the rest of the day. Oh, this is what's happening. Oh, my friends are going to drink. Oh, there's this pressure. And I will make this comment actually, because after alcohol, there is going to be a period of time that is lonely. And you will feel situations in which you either are choosing not to be there or don't feel comfortable being there. You know, your friends are watching a football game, but it's beer related and they're drinking beer. Your friends are going to wine tastings. There is an event that is centered around alcohol. Like there are these things, again, from a cultural perspective that you are now choosing to opt out of that will feel like you are missing out, that you are feeling a little bit lonely. And that's a real place to be in. And I think it's okay to sit with those emotions and it's okay to feel those things because you won't feel that way forever. There is going to be a time when you feel comfortable going back into those spaces and making your own choices, right? Having a non-alcoholic options, being surrounded by people who are drinking, and you're the one having the best time because you're embodying, again, that power, that choice, and you don't need alcohol to impact you or to enjoy yourself or to have fun. But knowing that it does sometimes take time to get there, I think is a really important conversation for people to have and not just think that like, oh, I'm going to stop drinking alcohol and everything's going to be bright and shiny on the other side. Like it is a journey. And I feel like there is sometimes a little bit of dark night of the soul that you have to go through. And sometimes that takes tuning inward and that takes self-reflection and that takes cutting out the world or feeling like you can't engage with the world. But once you move through that space, and it's okay to be in that space, and it's okay to experience sadness, and it's okay to experience grief before you move into that space of embracing an opportunity and joy and looking for the people who are then going to support your new lifestyle and your choices and way of being. And just knowing that there is an other side, there is a different place that you will get to through that process.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that happens on a physical level, depending on how much a person drank. Because sometimes like people are like, oh, I feel great in 2 weeks. And like for me, it took a year, and an emotional level and a spiritual level. Because if your drinking is masking you being in touch with your true self, with your physical self, you got to untangle all of that. And that can take a long time, depending on how entangled each thing was.
Yeah. I speak to the mental health and the anxiety portion of why I transitioned away from alcohol, but I was also really suffering and dealing with low-level depression. I was like, this was pre when I decided to stop drinking, but in the years leading up to it and when I was moving through this transitional phase in my life, I was canceling classes that I felt like I couldn't go out and teach. I was not going to friends' baby showers because I didn't feel like I could be in those social settings. Like I was going through a lot of stuff at the time that was partly related to alcohol, partly not. But I was using alcohol, television, movies, like as a way to numb, avoid, and cope, and not deal with a lot of the emotions that were coming up. So once I moved through that process and started to put down the distractions and really actually feel my feelings and move through that experience and be okay with it, there's actually a great book. It's, I think it's called 90 Seconds to the Life You Love. And it's specifically about taking 90 seconds to move through and experience your emotions, because I think a lot of people Band-Aid or try to tape over and just be like, yeah, we'll just find joy. A lot of people could probably see me with where I am now and think like, oh yeah, it's easy for you. You have the energy, you have the mood, you have the attitude, you have the mindset and the perspective of happiness. But it took me time to get here. And it's been years of that process and being okay with all of the what we'll call negative emotions, anger, frustration, grief, sadness, disappointment, and being okay and knowing that you can feel those things and you can move through them and embrace them while also then moving toward your more positive emotions, happiness, joy, excitement, surprise, like those types of things. So recognize that this place that I'm in is not where I started, and that's okay too. That's why we call it a journey. It's a process. It's a story.
Was there anything else that you want to talk about today that we haven't covered?
I could talk for ages about everything. I'm like really chatty. My husband, sometimes he'll get home from work and I'm just like, hey, what's going? Like, what are you doing? How's your day been? Like, I could tell you about my day. This is what I did. I'll share just maybe a little bit about my brand as it relates to kind of our conversation and what we had today. Is ultimately we started, to be honest, beverage company because we were looking for a sophisticated, elevated, flavorful, functional, somewhat health-based alternative that fit the drinking culture of what I felt like was now not a part of my life, right? We were inundated with alcohol and the events. And almost once you shift out of alcohol, you start to realize you're more so the afterthought. You're the soda water. You're the lemonade. We don't have an option for that. Now, of course, we're seeing a ton of non-alcoholic brands on the market now. We're seeing big name brands offer zero proof or low alcohol options. And so there are a lot of really wonderful things on the market. But originally, because I was dealing with the mental health and anxiety, I found that CBD was a helpful, functional thing for me to move through that process and help and support that, while also looking for something that had the flavor of a cocktail experience that I felt like that's number one thing that I missed out on. I wasn't really a big wine drinker. I definitely had cut out beer years before. I really enjoy cider and hard cider, but I was looking for something that kind of gave me that cultural experience and expectation that I felt like now wasn't a part of my life anymore. So that's where we came up with, to be honest, my husband is the product development, design, manufacturing, and I'm business sales and marketing. And so what we're ultimately trying to do as our mission is everything that I talked about today in terms of self-awareness, choice, time investment, uncovering who you are and discovering what brings you joy is ultimately you kind of deciding to be the main character of your life again, not allowing those external pressures to determine how you show up, your choices, what you're drinking, what you're doing throughout the day, all of those things. And so our goal is really to encourage and empower our consumers and individuals to be the main character of their story. And because drinking is such a big integrated part of our culture, we wanted an alternative that also gave you that same main character energy while being a supporting role to your experience and what you're doing. So that's kind of a little bit about our brand and why we got launched and the importance of what I feel like is the conversation in the non-alcoholic space of really being powerful and confident in your choices, and getting to also simultaneously enjoy just as good as, if not better, in my opinion, options as a part of the culture that is so much a part of drinking.
I think it's awesome that you are changing the culture. You're out there and you're just making it happen. You're living proactively and bringing that main character energy. So with that, I think it's time.
Rapid fire round.
All right, we'll start you off easy. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Pizza or wings?
Wings.
What's a book you often recommend to people?
Big Leap is the first thing that comes to mind.
Gay Hendricks?
Yes, The Big Leap. Yeah.
Favorite way to move your body?
Dance.
What's your most listened to genre of music?
I use this app called Endel, and so it creates like an ADHD neurodivergent sound that helps you focus with productivity. So I'll say either binaural beats or let's say Fleetwood Mac-ish.
Do you have a nickname?
A lot. For some reason, people find it very easy. Apparently, Michelle is not super fitting for me for a lot of people. So Shelly, Belle, I had someone call me Chellywog once upon a time. Mimi,
Nice.
Mish. We'll use Belle.
I like that. It sounds like you got a lot of people who like you. I have nicknames for people, that I care about.
Yeah, no one has a nickname for you.
I got a bunch. I got a bunch. That was alley-oop there.
Yeah. I like Shelly Wog. What's your favorite feature of your own face?
Oh my gosh. I can't choose, but I will say my eyebrows, because recently someone commented and was like, where do you get your eyebrows done? And I was like, oh, I don't. These are my eyebrows. And she was like, shut the front door. She's like, those are your real eyebrows? I'm like, yes.
Write that in your joy journal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
Okay, first thing that comes to mind is I did sing Smash Mouth's All-Star for an audition once to a musical. So let's just say that.
Yeah, you have lead singer energy. I like it. Yeah.
We'll just overdub my voice.
What's your favorite sweet
The Milli Vanilli of 2025.
Yeah.
AI deep fake it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
As long as we're being honest about it.
Right.
Okay, what was the question? Sweet?
What's a sweet treat?
I actually really love Kulina. It's a coconut-based vanilla yogurt.
All right. I think we're good. And now we enter the musical portion.
Yeah, I shoot my arrow, aim for more than settling. I can mold it, choose my own reality. I shoot my arrow, aim for more than settling. I can mold it, choose my own reality. And to be honest, it's not what I thought it would be. And to be honest, it's a shift, it's a journey. And to be honest, I'm still growing and evolving, learning how to embody my main character energy. Let go of what's limiting and choose joy and clarity. Find out what I'm meant to be. Oh, my main character energy. Let go of what's limiting and choose joy and clarity. Find out what I'm meant to be. Oh,
Woo!
Something like that.
Right. Love it. Yeah, that was fabulous. It sounds really good. It's actually very impressive what you've been able to do in such a short period of time.
Right?
Yay! I'm glad you like
love
it. Yes.
Yeah, I think it encapsulates our conversation and kind of where I feel like I am. So
Awesome.
Sweet.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to join us today, Michelle. I love chatting with you. You have so much wisdom to share, and I'm super excited for your journey with To Be Honest beverages. And tell the people where they can find you on the internet.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I love getting to connect with other people in this space. I think that what you're doing and sharing the message of what life looks like after being alcohol free is really important. And I think it's important to discuss the difficulties, the challenges, but also a lot of the highlights, because so much of it is highlights. And the things we talked about in terms of joy and opportunity and relationships and connections and what kind of comes out of it is really powerful. So if you want to find out more about To Be Honest Beverage Company, our brand and our product focus, which is a non-alcoholic functional spirit alternative, you can find us online at To Be Honest Bev, TOBE Honest, Bev as in beverages.com. And then the same name on Instagram is where we spend most of our time, To Be Honest Bev.
All right. Well, thank you again, Michelle. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.